Welcome, oh, welcome to dun 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 the end of Canadian reselling. It's me finishing a cookie. Still finishing a cookie. Welcome. For those of you who may not have ever been here before, we're Two Dogs Digs. We have a YouTube channel all about reselling. For those of you who are regular visitors to us, thank you so much for coming in. Basically, I'll wait a minute or two for people to potentially join us, but we're doing this show today for you, for all of the questions that keep coming up that we keep seeing, tons of the misinformation that we actually have found out there. And we're trying to do this to actually hopefully answer the questions for you as Canadian resellers, to try and figure out what is going to be happening with your business as a Canadian reseller, little one, the big one, all kinds. So we thank you so much for taking a little time and joining us here today, especially, again, all of those who have always supported us in the past, including our U.S. friends as well, who are here supporting us and actually learning as well from their standpoint as to how things happen. So I've got my other half here.
I promised to be on my best behavior.
And he's promised to be on his best behavior. I fed him. He's got his coffee. So everything is going to be okay for him to be there.
I'm still digesting. I'm still digesting.
He's still digesting.
You never know what'll happen.
It's okay if you're not in the chat. We'd love to see you in the chat. So please feel free to join us as well in the chat if you want to. Right now, we only have probably like 10 or 12 people in the chat, but it says we got like 30 plus live. I'm really happy that we've got that because I was thinking I'm doing this for everybody. I'm not doing this for me because I don't need to do it for me because I kind of know what's going on. So I'm trying to do this to help everybody. We have, strangely enough, we have over 4,000 members in our Canadian reselling group and the Canadian Resellers and Fantastic Thrifters group, which you can always join if you feel like it. All you have to do is go to facebook.com/Canadian Resellers. You can join us in there. But one of the things that I noticed, even in the past week, was the number of people who don't even scroll down for answers and questions. We've had to actually turn down, like I've had to not allow comments, posts, probably from 15 people, because they were all asking the exact same question that was already sitting there in a big forum. So that's part of what made me decide to do this. Was I'm seeing so many people who aren't even reading the craft group. They're sitting there going, I'm just going to type my question. And then you get so many people having to answer it, and then there's no consistency. So I wanted to try and give a single space. So with the people who tried to post, I was very nice, but I just said, hey, there's another post about this. Please search for shit show. Probably what I should call it, #shit show here in this. So again, hello to everybody who's here. So hey, Joel, in his car. Be very good when you're doing that. It's a long time. Hey, Louis, yes, it has. It's going okay, eh? We've had better times. Eh? So let me just start off by like right at the beginning. Again, what we're doing here is we're trying to explain if this is the end of Canadian reselling. It's not, but it is a damn big change. Now, I can say it's a damn big change. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background on us. First of all, what we're going to do today is we're going to try and take you through all of the changes that have happened, what it does to you as a Canadian reseller, how it affects you, some of the misconceptions that people think are, oh, we just have to do this and we'll be okay. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about what you should start thinking about when you need to pivot. Because if you, instead of just shutting everything down, there are opportunities for you to try and actually do stuff. So it might be a little bit different world. So again, from our standpoint, Rick and I have been selling online for 35 years. Now, by 35 years, I literally mean we were selling before eBay was around. We were on things that Usenet groups. This is how old we are. Usenet groups like reccollecting.dolls. We sold stuff by there. Hey, you need goods and books. Thanks for joining us. I'm glad you're here today too. Hey, Hydra. Thanks, Leanne, for popping in as well, and Louie and everybody else. Michael. And so we've been doing this. We used to, before the internet, before the World Wide Web, we literally used to run an ad in a magazine called Toy Shop. And we used to hold auctions that we put this ad in Toy Shop magazine. It came out every month for those of you who may be older. Hey, Tatiana. And we would take pictures of things. We'd have to get them developed at the Black's cameras. We would send 5x7 photographs down with our auction list to a place in the US that printed Toy Shop magazine, and the magazine would come out like 7 months after we sent the stuff down. And we had live auctions where people would phone. We were in the basement of our house and the phone would ring and we'd hang up and we said the auction will end when the phone stops ringing for 5 minutes. Like, that's how we did. We were on eBay literally within the first year that eBay started. We have been there over like 30 years. This is the 30th anniversary this year of it. In fact, just as well, so you know how we are on there, we actually were one of only 2 international shop sellers that were featured in eBay's 25th anniversary year. Every week they featured a different seller. And Rick and I at Two Dogs Digs were lucky enough to be one of the featured sellers. And we were, I think, the only Canadian featured seller. And we are also eBay Canada. When they announced their 20th anniversary up here, there was a Hall of Fame, and we were inducted into the Hall of Fame. So we were one of 20 people in the Hall of Fame. So we've been selling online for a long time. We have sold over, our estimate is over the past 25 to 30 years online, over 50,000 items. Yes, 50,000 items to the world. Now, 90% of those 50,000 plus items went to the US. So we are used to this. We have been used to this for all these years. This has been a secondary income stream for us for the longest period of time. A pain in Rick's ass for how many years, honey?
Pretty much since the dawn
his
of
entire
time.
Life. His entire life. So we and Rick is my packer. So the two of us, we split stuff up. I do all the listings. I do the sourcing. 90% of the sourcing. I do the listings. I do the research. I do the pricing. And Rick does photography. And Rick is also responsible for 90% of the shipping. So he's been the guy that when something sells, he packs it up. He does the shipping. We were using Canada Post as our only way to ship. Like a lot of people who don't have access to a cross-border shipper. And then about 9 or 10 years ago, we found a cross-border shipper, which was a company that used to drive across the US every single night and take stuff into the States. And those people would buy US postage, so USPS postage. And for the longest time, eBay Canada did not have a competitive rate with Canada Post. So your choice was, if I wanted to send this doll shoe, theoretically, I could sell this doll shoe for $10. I could sell this laser pen for $15. I couldn't ship them by Canada Post in an envelope, like a birthday card. I had to ship these as tracked packets in order to make sure that they got arrived right and I was covered. And it cost me $18 to ship a $10 pen or a $5 shoe. So it was ridiculous. But cross-border shippers allowed a lot of us in major markets the opportunity to buy USPS postage. So that USPS postage was really cheap. I'm talking really cheap. Like I could ship this to somebody for $3.50. It saved our reselling business, in all honesty, and our business actually bumped up, didn't it, Rick?
Yep.
Because we were all of a sudden going, we can sell more. And a lot of stuff we sell is toys and things like that, but we can sell scary, evil, like choir children and not worry about them getting broken because they were sitting. We could sell coffee mugs. We could sell My Little Pony. We could sell anything we wanted to. We could sell shirts. We could sell, you name it. We'd sell it. We're thrifter sellers. We garage sale. We flea market. We buy online. We go to estate sales. That's where we got all our stuff, and that's where we bought it, and then we ship it. So that's our life. So we were doing that for the longest period of time. So we know what we've been doing. Again, we've sold and shipped thousands and thousands of items until 2026, 2025, 2025 this year. So what happened this year? Well, we all know what happened this year. As I'm not going to be nice in any way, shape, or form. Tiny Hands Taco, the tariff queen, decided for very unrational reasons that there's a way for them to make money in the States, which is doing a thing called tariffs. And they're going to charge everybody around the world, and we're going to make billions and billions of dollars. Unfortunately, he doesn't even have an economics degree. He does, well, I don't even know if he has a spelling or math degree in any way, shape, or form. He's a freaking idiot. And so he literally put this thing on starting in February, where he said, I hate China. Now, understandably, there's been a little bit of fussing with China. Now, what happened was, and the whole reason, there's two reasons that this came into play. First reason was, and I'm sure some of you resellers use them, Shein, Alibaba, Temu, as websites that were selling, no, Tiny Hands, no, that's Taco Bell. Taco Bell is his press secretary. So, yes. So those places were shipping stuff, and they were using sort of back-end ways to get things into the States. So they were flooding the U.S. with cheap fast fashion, with cheap things. Like, I mean, I used to see them. The ads that would show up, they say, you can buy 500 stickers from Temu, and you can have them sent to you for 99 cents with free shipping. It's like, how do they do that? I don't know how they do that, but I'm going to order them. So that was one thing, was the abundance of things coming from China that were sort of skipping any kind of extra payment and utilizing the United States Postal Service very badly, like sort of cheating it. That was one. But the second one, which is what hit us as Canadian resellers, was complete and utter bull poopy, which was that Canada was responsible for the fentanyl problem in the U.S., Canada and Mexico. Now, again, idiotic, non-factual. In fact, I think I read a number of different things that were from the U.S. themselves that said less than an entire suitcase full of fentanyl crossed from Canada into the U.S. in the previous year. He was claiming hundreds of thousands of pounds that could kill millions, and also just, you name it. So anyway, so what he did was he said in February, I'm going to start charging duty, a tariff, a tax, and that is going to be different amounts. It's changed. It's gone up and down so many times I can't even keep track of it. It's been 10%, then it was 35%, then it was 150%, then and all of that kind of stuff. So what it ended up doing was all of a sudden everybody who's a reseller in Canada was like, oh, now we had to sort of stop, because a lot of resellers, and again, this is not for normal people. We're talking resellers here. This is people that sell books and old used clothing and all those kind of things. We're not talking about general tariffs. General tariffs, first of all, let me just go. And this is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to talk about the history for Canadian resellers. So I'm sort of going through that right now. We're going to go through CUSMA, and we're going to dismiss it really fast. We're going to talk about tariffs and duty and the changes that are here. Then we're going to talk about the de minimis change that is coming on August 29th, very short time from now. And then we're going to talk about how you can potentially pivot. So right now, we're talking about the history for Canadian resellers. Now, if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to write them down, ask them in the chat. We'll try and star them. We're not going to, we may get to something later on. Like if I'm in the middle right now, if I'm going to talk to you at the moment about like CUSMA and you post a question about the de minimis, we won't get to that yet. Yeah, that's exactly that. Duty. So this is but if you want to ask a question, please feel free. Rick will try and star the question. Rick is not allowed to answer questions like he normally does. He usually answers questions in the chat, and then it's either something I'm about to talk about and he's answered it already, or it's something else that he has an answer, and then there becomes this conversation that's in the chat. Well, I can't really see that, and then it ends up that I catch the end of a conversation. I don't know what's going on. So I had him agree with me today. That's why isn't he good? He's being so good. Look at him.
All of the machinations going through this little pea brain of mine. It's like, I want to type so badly. I won't. I'm being a good boy today.
So that's what we're going to try and end up doing. Okay, so 17 minutes and we haven't got through anything yet. Basically, that's what we're going to talk. We're talked about the history. So the history is what's been happening on various things. Now, again, I'm just going to make sure people understand. First off, I'm going to talk about one thing, and I'm going to get it out of the way. CUSMA. Then we're going to go on to tariffs and duty, because that is where it really comes into play in the de minimis. Those are the important things. CUSMA is the Canadian-US-Mexico Agreement. The Canadian-US-Mexico Agreement was developed by Tiny Taco Hands, and it was an agreement between Canada, US, and Mexico about what can come in and out. Now, understand that in itself and all the tariffs are about manufacturing. In 99% of the cases they're talking about, it's the manufacturing industries. If you actually see all the people who idiotically voted for this thing and now are saying the FAFO, the around and find out, is they're ordering things from China to make, to build their items, to make their Hallmark. Hallmark has all of its ornaments made in China and shipped to the United States. Well, now because they're not made in the US, they are charging a 35 to 150% duty at one point on all the things that came in from China. So every Hallmark ornament that is sitting in the US right now originally was supposed to be at a certain price. They even put a dream book out that said this is how much they had to raise the prices of every single one of them by 25 to 35% to cover the taxes that they pay. That's the thing, that they pay. So the tariffs are paid by the American taxpayer. They are either paid by the importer or the consumer. The importer is somebody who might be making machinery, but the machinery needs a part that's only built in Sri Lanka or China or Canada. It has to come into the US now, and they have to pay this. That's what CUSMA did. It arranged for certain things to have less duty than others. It arranged for things, and that's also where part of the bull is coming from, because you'll see Trump makes a comment. I said his name. He who shall not be named has made a comment before about the 400% the tariff that Canada is charging on dairy. That's not even true again. There's a certain clause that if a certain amount of dairy butter comes up to Canada, in order to protect the Canadian like butter people, once it hits a certain amount, there's a 400% tariff put on it. They've never shipped anywhere near that amount. So again, he's using things that aren't true. It's that simple. But that's what CUSMA is. CUSMA is manufacturing. It's parts, it's car pieces going back across, it's fabric, it's wool, it's steel. It's not meant in any way, shape, or form for us. We are pissant little resellers. They don't care. This was never built for us. So I keep seeing things that are out there that say, well, you can look at CUSMA. Now, Rick, you sort of said this right. Now, I'm going to let you comment on it because you were sort of saying it right. In order to, people are saying, oh, well, I can still send this because I'm selling stuff. And I'll just make sure it's CUSMA, what's the word I'm looking for? Compliant.
Yes.
And
now the thing about CUSMA
that is idiotic. I'm going to give it to Rick just for a little chat because he likes this one of the things he likes.
Okay, so the thing about CUSMA is, in order to access CUSMA, you need to submit paperwork to whatever governing body, probably the trade organization within Canada that deals with the trade organization in the States and Mexico. You need to actually qualify for CUSMA for whatever you are shipping. You can't sort of be grandfathered by a manufacturer who had access to CUSMA because they had the scale to actually be part of CUSMA and qualify and be compliant with all of the ins and outs. So that's why we're dismissing CUSMA outright, because we as itty bitty little resellers don't have the capacity, the money, the time, the effort, the knowledge in order to qualify for CUSMA. That's it.
So, and again, we keep seeing people going, well, I'm just going to make sure I'm CUSMA like compliant. It's like, you're never going to find the way to do that. So we're taking that off the table. We're not going to talk about that. It's absolutely ridiculous to think that us little itty bitty teeny weeny teeny weeny resellers.
I love paperwork. I would not do it.
Would do it. Like, there's so that you can sell a $25 shirt, a $50 book, a $7 postcard. Dawn, that was for Dawn. Like, any of those things are literally, you're never going to find the information. It's all about manufacturing. That's just it. It's all about manufacturing. So, you know what? We're just going to take a look at that. We're going to buy CUSMA. We're not going to talk about CUSMA. It's idiotic for anybody who's a little bit of reseller. If you are a big reseller and you think there's a way about go for it. Got nothing to do with what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about how it affects resellers like most of us. So our second point on here, tariffs and duty and changes. So let's clear up this again. A tariff is a duty, is a tax. It's all the same thing. Kind of little different names, but they're really the same thing. It's a tax. These tariffs or duties are paid for by the importing country. Now, here's one thing that you as Canadians, those of us who are Canadians, we will know and recognize. If we ever ordered something from the US and it got mailed to us, probably 50% of the time, maybe less. For us, it was about 20% of the time. We wouldn't get the package at our door. We would get something from Canada Post or UPS or FedEx saying, this parcel's come in and now you have to pay duty. Why? Because in Canada, by mail, we have a $20 limit. Anything over $20, they convert from US to Canadian funds. They charge duty. And then on top of that, they actually charge a brokerage fee and they charge a tax. So in Canada, we're used to that. In the UK, they have VAT. In other markets around the world, people are used to this. Exactly. So the US is never used to this. Why is it not used to this? Well, that's because in the US, up until 2016, they could get anything they ordered from anywhere in the world that was $200 or less, and they never had to pay a thing on it. And in 2016, Barack Obama raised that up to $800. So from 2016 to now, for the past 9 years, anybody in the US used to order stuff, and we'll get a little more detail into that. And anything under $800, that was the de minimis. Anything under $800, they never had to pay a duty or taxes for it. Didn't matter where it came from, anywhere in the world. I could sell somebody this pen for $799 US, and it could arrive with absolutely no duty. If it was $810, they would get $800 worth of the pen for free, and then they would pay the duty on 10. So the US is really, in most cases, as general people, and we can ask a couple of our US people who are here, like Janet and Nellie, they never used to pay those things. Hydrant, you never used to pay those things. You never had to think about them. They just arrived. Well, now, as of February, new duties came into place. And those duties and changes have evolved back and forth over the past 7 months. March, April, May, June, July, August. 7 months, up and down, all over. See, there we go. So Janet, Nellie, never had to pay anything. Janet never had to pay anything. And now it actually, Tina's here too. I forgot. Tina, your car was made in Canada. You didn't have to pay an extra fee. No, because there's an automotive agreement as part of the cross-border, because half the cars are actually made crossing the border like multiple times. It's not like the car is entirely manufactured in Canada. A part of the car is manufactured here and it's shipped down to Detroit, and Detroit does this with it and puts it into here and ships it back to Canada, and Canada does this with it. So there's lots of stuff going back and forth in the auto industry, which is also those are under trouble now too. Again, because of tiny hands. So nobody ever paid this before, and now they're going to have to pay. And I have somebody, for example, who literally told me 2 weeks ago, they sent a book. They sent something they sold from Alberta down to the States from China, and the person got it, and they were not happy because they had to pay $40 just to get the $35 book or whatever it was. And that was because at the time there was a brokerage fee put on top of it, because the people who are collecting this are charging. So either it's Customs and Border Patrol, UPS, FedEx, any of those people, they're charging to collect in the States and then remit to the US government. Just like Canada Post charges $9.95 or $14.95 to collect the duty and remit it to Canada, right? For stuff that comes up to Canada. So the US people are not used to this whatsoever. On top of that, you have completely different levels of tariffs and duty for items now, and effective July 31st, all over the board from all over the world. So this is, I'm not going to get into tons and tons of individual details, but you can search and find the actual White House. This is the presidential order from July 30th, the executive order. And it talks about suspending the de minimis, which we'll get into next. But this is the tariff list right now. Mexico has 25% on anything that arrives. So anything that comes into the U.S., the U.S. consumer is going to have to pay 25% to get that item. A $100 item, they're going to have to pay $25 U.S. If they ordered something from Germany, it's a $15 thing. So that $100 item is a $15 charge. If they ordered something from Canada, it's a 35% charge because of all that fentanyl we send down. So this is literally every country. All 200 plus countries that he's getting deals with. Even though there's only 196 countries in the world, he's got deals with over 200 countries, including lands that have only sheep in them. But
penguins.
India, 50%. He announced a 50% tariff, duty, tax on this. So if somebody ordered something that was a beautiful sari from India, and it was going to come in after the de minimis, like if it came in and it was under $800 right now, they'd be fine. But as soon as the de minimis goes away, they'd have to pay 50%. So look at Switzerland, 39%. There's people he just hates for some unknown reason. Brazil, 50%. So you're talking about, there's 7 pages of this. So every frickin' country, he doesn't like Laos and Serbia or Tunisia. Like Bosnia and Herzegovina, 30%. Look at these ridiculous, then all these things. Well, not much comes from the Falkland Islands, so they get a 10%. So there's a huge bunch, but they have less than 1% of U.S. imports. But the thing is, less than 1% of Bosnia and Herzegovina. So give imports. The big thing is that he's charging, again, I'll go back up here. And this is data from the U.S. This is not, this is from the U.S. So places like Mexico, which have 15% of U.S. imports, are getting 25%. China, 13%. Canada, 12%. Germany. So again, what's happening is that means all of these items have a tax. So again, that is what happens in the general sense. But on top of that, there can also be specific. This is a tax on just the item, a general tax. Every single item has this. On top of that, given certain understandings, there are already agreements in place that say cotton from India has a 9% duty already attached to it. So cotton that comes in has a 9% duty. Now it's going to add that 25 or 30% on top of it. So that original duty doesn't even go away. It becomes even higher. So again, 99% of the time, this is about the manufacturing area. So again, but it's hitting us. It hits us in the face. Ow. I didn't hit myself that hard. But
I was supposed to do that.
you hear that?
I did.
So that's what we're stuck with. We're stuck with dealing with this.
You forgot the tickle.
And that's just it. And Hydron's right. It's subject to change without notice. And he has literally changed this so many times. China has gone from 35% to 20% to 150%, and now it's back down to 30% again. But there was about a 6-week period where they were charging 150% tariffs on anything that was coming from China. Again, in the reseller world, hey, it doesn't really matter because we're shipping little things. We're sending stuff that doesn't cost that much money. We're sending stuff that only, like it's a $20 this. I'm sending my grandson a jigsaw puzzle. I'm sending this to my friend. I'm sending 6 things down to Elisa because she wants something and I can get it in Canada and they can't get it down there. I'm sending some maple syrup. It never bothered us. But we're now caught under this gigantic umbrella. Right? That's kind of the way that you have to look at it. So that's what we want you to think about right now is what's happened is these tariffs have gone into play. That means as Canadian resellers, we are now responsible for telling people where our item has come from, where it was manufactured, not where it's shipping from, not where it ships from, because it ships from Canada, where it was manufactured originally. Okay, I'm sorry. 60% or more of the crap I sell has no labels, no packaging, no box, no name, no nothing on it. You tell me how I'm supposed to go, it's time for me to sell this thing, and there's not a single manufacturing note on it anywhere. I have so much stuff, China, mugs, all sorts of different things. Now, some things may have a mark on them, but lots of things, like here, if I tried to sell Tony or Spoonie, there's no marking. I don't know where it's from. How am I going to figure out where it's from? Well, the problem is I can't send it to the States, God help me, unless I know where it's from. Why? Because the U.S. needs to know so they can charge this duty. So that's the problem we're sitting in right now. as well. As a reseller, since February, we now have to say, where's this from? That's really hard in a lot of cases as resellers, because again, that's what we're reselling. We're not selling good new packaged goods. Now, there may be some people here who said, that's not a big deal. I sell stuff that's in boxes. I sell cell phone things, where they're manufactured and everything. That's fine. This little seminar, the little webinar ain't for you. This webinar is for Trash Panda. Great name. This seminar is for Lisa Wallace and Don Wright, who literally shop around at thrift stores and garage sales and find stuff and then sell it on eBay and Etsy and sell it to the States. This is for us, who've sold 50,000 items to the US and now have to say, where is everything coming from? So that is a challenge. So there's some ways that you can get around this as a reseller of, and they don't even have to be called vintage. I mean, some people are saying, oh, it's all about vintage. It's like, no, this isn't about vintage, because God knows I sell stuff that is 6 years old, 5 years old, 3 years old. It doesn't matter. I also sell stuff that's 50 years old and 60 years old. Don't sell too much that's technically an antique, because there is a little bit of a opportunity there if you sell something that's over 100 years old, but you still have to know provenance and all sorts of stuff, where you may not have to pay duty. But generally, it's all about whatever I got. It doesn't have to be vintage, right? And I just don't know where it's from. So you do some research on it where you can. You do your Google images. You try and figure out how you're going to be putting that stuff into like there. And what we've actually done, and Rick has done this really well. We had 3 things that we sold in the past 3 months that there was literally not a single thing. We sold a little ballerina that sits on top of, like a replacement ballerina that sits in a music box. And people would say, well, why are you wasting your time selling a ballerina that sits in a music box? Because I'll tell you why. Because I bought a bag of like 40 of them for $3. And I'm selling them for $15 a piece. And we've sold like 30 of them. So I like selling this little teeny tiny like jewelry thing, but there's no manufacturer. There's not even a place to put a damn name on. So what Rick did was I actually did this too. I found an original jewelry box with that on top of it, the exact same, even really bad eyes. Like the eyes were done terribly. And we put together a single page that we put inside the package, right, Rick?
Yep.
That showed this is the little thing that's on top of this music box that is made in Japan, because there's no duty on Japan at that time. And we put this little folder, we printed it out, we put it inside. We did that with 3 different things just to make sure that they could get down there, because Lord knows I didn't want someone to have to like it to stop or anything like that. So that's what you may have to do. You may have to figure out where it goes. Now, Julie's got a good point here. Well, I'll put Don's in first. If you use Canada Post and you don't put a country of origin, it will default to Canada as its country of origin. You actually can use Canada Post and not put any country of origin at all in.
Go up a couple more.
Is going to be setting an issue. It's tricky. I'm going to talk about the Canada Post thing in a few more minutes too. I might do it here, but you don't have to put Canada Post in. You don't have to use the origin. Julie said, I've been selling tons to the U.S. through Canada Post with no issues, no tariffs. Again, Julie, that's fine until a week and a half from now. And then you will be completely stuck. You can get away with stuff using Canada Post, and some people do. When you were sending stuff, you don't need to have the country of origin on it. You can get away with it. I'm just saying you can get away with it, but I don't know again how long that's going to last. So if you're planning on this is that's your fallback, and all you're going to do is just use Canada Post, and you don't have to, that probably is going to disappear pretty damn soon too. They can't. If you don't know where it's made, they can't verify. But the problem is, because they can't verify, if they decide to open it up, they can send it back. That's just it. That's the challenge, Tara. So it's a complete unknown. You don't know who's going to open it up, how bad a day they've had so far. What, like, the randomness of this is just unbelievable as to things that go across the border. So in the past number of months, we have heard of Canada. Well, we know personally Canada Post shipments that have actually been stopped and held up for 2 weeks just to clear border patrol for customs. We know of stuff that has gone through border shippers like Chit Chats, DYK, Stallion, who have literally had entire trucks turned back. In fact, this past week, Chit Chats itself had all its trucks turned back on Wednesday, and 2 of its trucks turned back, I think, on Thursday. Literally, they drove across the border and they were turned around. We know why they were turned around. It was because people doing Amazon FBA trying to send a bunch of stuff down to one address that was over $800. But still, they got turned around. We know stuff has gone through and people have had the stuff opened up, or has gone through and actually arrived at the person, and the person had to pay the money to get it, or they refused it. So that's the big challenge on what they're doing with here. So it's something where you have to keep this in mind. You have to think where it comes from, if you can figure out where it comes from, and you need to consider an HS code or HCS code on it, because there's lots of charges that are going to come through. Now, here's the big change, though, that we have to talk about. So that's kind of how duty works. I missed anything there, Rick?
Not really. I think the thing to remember is that right now, the U.S. postal system, I can't remember what the number was. There were like 1.5 billion packages.
Yeah, 1.35 billion or something last year.
So, and those are the packages that entered the U.S. under the de minimis threshold. So the scrutiny that was being applied to them was sort of pick and choose, or completely at random. Oh, that box looks suspicious because it's from, Colombia, and we have to screen that one to make sure that there's nothing illicit in it. From my perspective right now, what's happening is that all of these new rules are coming into play, and the process, the actual practical process of how the U.S. is going to be implementing the collection of tariffs, taxes, duties, whatever, for each individual package that comes into the country. The system isn't built for that right now.
No.
So there's going to, I think that's what's causing some of the, we're just going to boot this entire shipment back across the border, so we don't have to deal with it today because we've got 700 other trucks in the lineup. I'm just guessing at that. But, if you think practically, there are some elements of, I'm overwhelmed, we're never going to be able to get through all of this, what can we do to minimize the problem for today? And I think that at some point, I think by February of next year, they're going to try to normalize the collection of tariffs and duties. And the systems will be built up in order to more effectively manage it. But at this point in time, who knows what's going to happen? Just be prepared for things to be sent back to you, or prepare your buyers for the shock of having to pay duties when they never had to before.
So we've talked again, I could talk for hours and hours. There's so much stuff about it, but on tariffs and duties. But basically, you're trying to understand the quickest summary on tariffs and duties before we get to de minimis is a tariff or duty is paid for us as resellers in Canada. It's paid for by the person in the U.S. who buys it. Now, one of the things you may see in a lot of cases is people saying, well, you can do buy or pay. Like, you can prepay as the seller. You can do duty paid. F that. No freaking way. I am not paying for something to go to somebody in the States. That is not going to happen. If somebody wants to order something from me, they are going to pay the tariffs. I am not paying tariffs to the US for a law that is asinine. So duty paid, prepaid duty is a ridiculous thing for anybody to look at. And that's one of the things that cross-border shippers are actually looking at right now, is trying to do stuff through that so that they can still buy USPS postage really cheap, but then they're going to try and collect the duty. No, I don't pay for somebody buying my stuff. So the tariff and duty is paid for by the US, by the US consumers, the people who are shopping from us on eBay and Etsy and all of those places. We're not manufacturers. We do not have CUSMA agreements. Every country is different. And up until August 29th, you don't have to worry if it's under $800 unless it's from China. That's it. That's all you have to do, is unless it's from China. But starting in a week and a half, the 29th, this is where it literally kills us as Canadian and worldwide resellers, because the de minimis is going away. What is the de minimis? Well, the de minimis, again, up until August 29th, means that any package of any kind under $800 that was arriving in the US arrived with absolutely no problems. I mentioned that a little earlier, but I'm mentioning it. That's what the de minimis is. What is happening? Well, Tiny Hands tariff idiot decided that effective August 29th, it is suspending the de minimis for all countries around the world. All the countries around the world. Which means that on August 29th, every single item that comes into the US is going to be charged duty, tariff, taxes. And not only that, but the tricky part, as Rick was saying, there's no way to actually figure out how this works. There's no way to actually figure out how this works in general, because they haven't had anybody actually planning how to collect this money. The only people who've ever collected this money have been UPS and FedEx, usually, because those are the people who have a tendency to try and collect it. But the challenge with this is they literally have got to the point where they may charge the percentage of duty. This is literally in the White House document. They may charge the percentage of duty. A duty equal to the effective tariff rate will be assessed on each package coming in. But they could also just charge a flat rate. They literally have said that if you had a tariff rate of between 16 and 25%, you could be charged $160 per item. Per item. Not per package. Per item. And yes, this is for new and used goods. This is anything of any kind coming into the States from anywhere around the world.
There's no carve out for used goods.
No carve out for used goods at all. New, used goods, anything. But this is what I want people to see. That literally, Canada is the 35% tariff rate. They literally have stated in the White House document that if they don't get around to figuring out in the next 6 months how to properly assess this, they can charge a $200 per item tariff. And again, that will be paid and assessed to the buyer in the US. This stupid $10 share shoe, which used to arrive for free, could have a $200 tariff added to it, depending upon where it comes in, which Border Patrol does it, all that sort of stuff. That's literally what it is. And again, so I'll just show you again, depending upon the country it's made in, not where it comes from, the country it's made in, 80, 160, or $200. And that was based on those tariff amounts that I showed you there, these things.
Yeah, somebody wanted that link posted into the chat. Can you grab it and paste it into chat? The
Yeah,
URL?
this is actually from the BBC.
It's
Where I
fine.
got it. It was the best way for me to look at it. Yes, the share shoe. And there's the link if anybody needs it. This is just from BBC. It was an article that came through, and you can actually type in the country, and you can search. Oh, I just found something that is from India. If you type properly. And there you go. 50% rate.
Sorry, you have to remove that.
So again, so that's what we have to look forward to is on the 29th. This is the challenge. So on the 29th of August, nothing is going to arrive in the US without there being a tax put onto it. So as resellers, we are now going to have choices. Our choices, yep, exactly, Valinda. Our rate is 35%, so that's $200 per item. So, I mean, it's even the 35%. I mean, it's not that reasonable, but like if I sold, again, I'll just pick up, if I sold this pen for $20, 35% of the price of this $20 pen, 35% of that is $7. So you in the States, Elisa, who ordered this pen from me, Nellie, who ordered this pen from me, Hydron, who ordered this pen from me, would have to pay $7. But they may also have to pay a brokerage fee, which is the person who's going to figure out how to collect this. And yes, including grandma sending something down to the States, the knitted sweater for her grandkids. She's going to have to know where the knit came from, where the wool came from, potentially. Now, there's only one exception. Things that are made in the USA. Hey, Jigsaw Living, thank you so much for popping in here. And that was asked by you, and it has also asked, somebody else actually asked about it as well.
Sorry, I missed it.
I know I saw something else about it somewhere in the questions, but anything that is made in the USA arrives for free. Yay! So, hey, every reseller out there, here's the easy way. I could have made this a 1-minute video. If you're a reseller from Canada and you want to keep reselling, throw out everything you've got that's not made in the USA. Because it's basically true.
That's not realistic.
Well, no, it's true. Unfortunately, this pen is not made in the USA.
Yeah.
But
nothing there is made
guess
in
what's made in the USA? Pee Wee Herman. No, it wasn't. It was made in China.
China.
So if you've got stuff that is from the USA, then your country of origin is, well, that's not good. Hold on, so I'll come back to that one. If you have something that's made in the USA, there it is. There's no tariff, no duty, no nothing. So you can sell books that are printed in the USA. You can sell comics printed in the USA. You can sell shirts made in the USA. You can sell cards. You can sell anything you've got that says made in the USA. You can sell back into the USA because you don't pay a tariff. They don't pay a tariff. You don't have to worry. You can send that through a cross-border shipper because you're claiming that it's USA. It's made in the USA. And if you send it from Canada using Canada Post, you can claim that it's made in the USA. And it's going to arrive. And it's not going to be a problem. You just have to watch. What do you have? And is it actually made in the USA? Now, the comment that was made by Valinda, which was, what could you put USA if it's not? You could. But if you get a package opened, I don't know what they're going to do about that. Because, number one, if you do use a cross-border shipper, they've actually said that they can ban you and they can charge you a fee. And I think the fee was minimum of $1,000. So if they catch you trying to put something that's made in China in something and say it's made in the USA, and that package gets opened, they will ban you from using that cross-border shipper. And then they will charge you a fee. It's actually in their agreement now. So anybody who uses them has to, like, whether they signed it or not, they're automatically going to be adhering to that agreement. So no, you can't lie.
I think CPB can also impose a fine up to $10,000.
So
I believe so. But
in addition to that, that's the challenge with if you don't know where something's from. You can't just say it's from Canada because you're in Canada. You can't just say, if you don't know where it's from, you either got to do the due diligence that Rick and I did, which is, as we talked about a little earlier, we researched everything under the sun to find out exactly where this item is. We found that item in a box that we don't have and can prove it and put that into as a little packing slip. So if someone opens it up, they're going to see that it is from the USA, or they're going to see it's from Japan. But if right now, again, the de minimis goes away, that little $12 or $15 little ballerina could have a $200 charge put against it. So you basically, what they're telling Canadian resellers is, F you in the ship you wrote in on, because we don't want any of your business. And that's the proprietariness of the orange idiot right now, is centralizing to say, nope, the U.S. is the best place in the world, and everybody should shop in the U.S., and everything should be made in the U.S., and no one should buy anything anywhere else, and anybody who wants to sell into the U.S. should be paying huge amounts of money. Except we're not the ones paying the huge amounts of money. The U.S. consumers are paying huge amounts of money, and 50% of the American public still doesn't understand that. So we're and it's not just Canadians, it's US, or it's UK, it's Australians, it's New Zealanders, it's anybody shipping anything, it's people from Japan, it's people in China. Anybody who sells anything anywhere and wants to ship it into the States is going to be hit with this. So that 1.3 billion is going to drop tremendously. Just what the US Postal Service needs, less people using them. So that's going to be your big challenge, is effective August 29th. And the thing is, it's effective August 29th, which means that if you're shipping, I got to get my calendar out in front of me, that's a week Friday to like 2 weeks from now, 12 days away. So we are basically looking at this and saying we are stopping selling and shipping on the 25th of August. If you ship something after the 25th of August, you have no idea when it's going to get through Customs and Border Patrol. We've seen stuff sit a week in the US. If something sits in a week and it goes over the 29th of August, it could then be charged a tariff. Something that gets into the States from a cross-border shipper or from Canada Post, and it arrives there in Chicago on the 26th at Customs and Border Protection and doesn't move until September 3rd, could then be assessed a tariff. So you have to understand, you're basically screwed as of this week. If you don't sell and ship something this week, you could really be screwed. Now I'm going to take a little break here. I'm going to go look at some of the questions that have been starred here to see if I can answer some of those. eBay will be requiring country of origins on all listings as of August 29th. It's actually very interesting, because one of the things that I said, I actually made a comment to eBay, which was, I hate this, is that country of origin is actually sitting there. Country of manufacturer is technically the same thing. Country of origin or country of manufacturer is technically sitting there under anything that you see on eBay. But the problem is, in many of the cases, it's actually something that is actually hidden away from anybody to actually post. So what's being said is that it's going to be put in there as an actual mandatory thing. So I'm just going to move this over so I can show you exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm preparing right now for something, and this is a note card set. As you can see in here, there is no required in here. Country of manufacture in this specific case is an additional option. Oops, wrong one. Sorry, one guy here. But that. It's an additional option. But what happens, again, in a lot of cases, when you see something on eBay, it actually doesn't show the manufacturer as something easy for you to find. So I'm just going to go in here right now. Hold on a second. I'm going to look up. There we go. I'll just look this up. No, hold on. Like, I wasn't prepared to look at some of these things. So I have to give me a break. So, but country manufacturer just doesn't show up. Now, the other thing is it doesn't show up when you're looking on a search on eBay. If you go to search for an item on eBay, half the time you actually will go into something and here's an exclusive marble craft that's here. And I'm scrolling. I still can't see country of origin. Now, some people say, I know how I'm going to get rid of this. I'm not going to have to worry. I'm just going to put in my description that this item's coming from Canada, so you're responsible for the tariffs. Well, the problem is, if you search on here, the description doesn't even show up on eBay. And 50% of people are buying on mobile. Unless they click on show more, and then they get to this, they will never see your note. So that's the other thing that people are trying to do is they're trying to say, well, I'm not going to have to worry about it. I'll just put it in my description. I have seen so many posts on so many forums that say, this is how you get around it. You just type in, I'm in Canada. You are responsible for all duties and taxes. And you know what? Go for it if you want, but you're just asking for trouble because you're asking for trouble in so many different ways. If you sell on a Facebook forum of some kind and you put that in, people aren't going to notice it. And again, people aren't going to be prepared to pay it. So you're going to ship something down to the States. Somebody's going to be shocked as hell that they get something and are told that they have to pay $75 or $100 in order to get it. And they're going to say, screw you, I'm not taking it. And then what's going to happen to your package? Is it going to return to you? We don't know. Is it going to just disappear? We don't know. Are you going to be out your money? All likelihood you will. If you sell something through eBay Canada, will there be an announcement that, hey, you may have to pay taxes and duties on this? There may be. They have not confirmed it. There may be something that says that so the person in the States buys it and realizes what they're going to have to pay. But if it comes to them and they deny receiving it, they refuse delivery, theoretically, I'm going to give you the option here, the worst case scenario, theoretically, it could be sent back to you. If it is sent back to you, eBay will not pay you to get the item back and keep the money and charge the other person. No, that's not going to happen. The only way that it works out in that scenario, and we've actually had it work out with someone who ordered something from us in the UK, is they refuse to pick something up from their post office. And so this had nothing to do with duty. They just refused to pick something up from their post office. And so eBay said, well, that's not your fault. They're still being charged. You still keep the money. So again, that's another one of the main challenges. Dan's got an interesting point. My main concern is what happens when all of us start reselling, mostly in Canada. The population doesn't support of us all losing a significant amount of business from the USA. No, that obviously is true. There is a limit to the, so we're going to talk a little bit about that as where you need to pivot to, which is don't just sell to Canada. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute. How many fragile items are going to arrive broken after being opened at customs and retaped with no regard? Well, that's just it. Something arrives broken, it could still go to someone broken and they could still be charged a tariff. So how are you going to handle something like that? If you list the country as origin in ebay.ca specific, you should be covered. Well, that's what I just sort of said. We should be covered, but not necessarily. You're going to have people who do not know, understand, or who have ever had a single tax or duty assessed to them. So that's the challenge. And again, now this is one of the things. Tiny Taco Tits could actually easily decide in like another week that he hears so many grumblings that he's going to reinstate the de minimis. And then everything's going to be different. Or he's going to reinstate the de minimis but only make it $100. And then that will, all of us will be, if he does that, we're safe. We actually have a way to actually keep selling certain things that we may not sell. I have $300 items that I sell into the States. Maybe I can't sell them, but I still can sell my $50 things or my share shoe. But we don't know if that's going to happen. Again, he removed a long-standing de minimis which was $200 until 2016 and became $800 under Obama. He's removed it completely. So until something happens with that, they will make eBays and others collect for them. I don't know. That's the only thing. We haven't got confirmation from eBay that they will do that because, again, that means that eBay Canada, which has not got the support services that the US has, or eBay around the world that has the support services that even the US has, or Etsy, or any of these people, have the ability to have 195 different duties and tariffs collectible. They aren't prepared for this either. So that could happen. It could take 6 months. Could take a year.
Yeah, they'd have to hire an external brokerage firm to help
would,
with all of that.
The only good thing that could come from this is when the U.S. buyers get sick of paying these fees, there may be enough pushback to change the policy. Yeah, that's what we are hoping. But again, I'm not putting too much into that for one main reason, and that is that a number of years ago, just like 2 or 3 years ago, the U.S. Internal Revenue Services decided that they were going to start making sure that people who sell online have that income reported. And so I believe it's a
1099.
So what they did was they said anybody who sells anything through PayPal, Mercari, Poshmark, eBay, any platform at all, or any payable platform like Stripe or PayPal, anything like that, are going to have, if it's $600 or more, we're going to have their money, a form sent to them saying you made $600 from someplace, and the government was going to know you made that $600. So the people who fought that big time, Amazon, eBay, Etsy, every marketplace that was in the U.S. And did it get shut down? Nope, it failed. It got delayed by a year. It got changed because at one point it was $3,000. And then I think it got moved from $600 to $3,000. And I think it's been moved back down to $600 again. But it hasn't disappeared. So the big reselling platforms, Amazon, eBay, Etsy, Poshmark, Mercari, Depop, all of these, all lobbied like crazy to the U.S. government and got nowhere with it. So do I think it's going to change? No, I just crossed my fingers at the de minimis that, I don't know, like, yeah, so like Taco Bell decides that she really likes something from Canada, and then she complains to the orange idiot that I couldn't get this anymore from Canada without paying $200. And he's going to say, oh, my darling Taco Bell, I'm going to put the de minimis back in since it's a $100 necklace that you want. So, you need to buy a new cross that's made out of Canadian maple syrup to wear because your other one is burning against your chest every time you try and put it on and come up and do a press conference. The new rule is 20,000. Okay, so new rule. So, but again, it didn't get disappeared. It went back to 20,000. Okay,
that's a good thing for smaller resellers.
Yeah, that is a good thing. But
oh my God,
it's still
something good for small sellers.
It's good and it's not. 50,000 items, 200 items in a year. We easily sell 200 items in a year, and it's not 200 items per platform. It's 200 items. That is 4 items a week. That's all. So if you don't hit $20,000, too bad. But if I sell 4 of those damn little ballerinas every week, I'm going to hit that at $12 a ballerina. Sharon said, I wonder if it'd be beneficial with the date shipped on the package to show it was shipped before the 29th. I don't know. It will show on the postage when it was bought. That may apply. I'm just saying, you don't know. Somebody could get something and it could sit back there and somebody could just say, I don't care. I'm not going to look at it. Linda said, we don't sell to the U.S., so you still have to put CCO on the ad.
Country of origin.
On the ad, like on your listing?
On the listing.
You probably will. Because it will be, if it becomes a required thing from eBay, it's like sometimes there's certain things where they require a brand or they require something. I'm going to see if I can find one to show you what I'm talking about. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I got one that's easy enough for me to take a look at here where it's got. Of course, everything I'm pulling up does not have required on it, which is what's driving me crazy. Every one
Yeah,
of them.
depending on the category.
Every
we have
draft I'm doing just has,
required,
every draft I've
identification.
got prepared right now just has additional, nothing required. But if you do have, it will, if it becomes required, you will have to put it in, even if you didn't want to or don't know. DMAC. So what are most people doing? Only selling to Canada? Sorry, late to the chat. This is giving you a headache. Well, it's giving you a headache. It's been giving us a headache for 7 months. So I don't mean to give you a headache, but we're going to actually talk in a couple more minutes about how to pivot and what the things that people can do. So we want to sort of talk about that. So hopefully we'll help you understand that a little bit more, TMAC. I'd like to see eBay do an international shipping program for everyone outside the US for shipping to outside the US. Yes, we are hoping. We've been asking for that for a long time. I don't know whether they are going to do it or not. It would require them to actually organize a shipping depot for everything to be shipped to in Canada. It's like they're in the US. They have the eBay International Shipping, the EIS program, where everything goes to places like Kentucky. It's repackaged and shipped around the world. Sometimes just directly shipped around the world. But that's a big ask for Canada. So they've only been looking at this, understand as well, Louis, since February. They didn't think this was even a thing before February. So it's a big ask from them. We can hope that they might look at something like this. If they do, it will probably take them 4, 6, 8, 10 months to get rolling, because it would be a long-term prospect for shipping outside of the US for them. Same thing from Trash Panda. Bringing in Canada would help. Well, I can tell you, I mean, the one thing I will say is when we talked to them about finally getting discounts with Canada Post, we were talking to them for almost 7 years before they could even get Canada Post to listen to them. So there, again, it's a very small group of people who run eBay Canada up here. They do listen to, hopefully they listen to Andrea, who is running eBay International, who used to be in Canada. But it will become how important are Canadian sales. This is what's going to happen. It'll be how important is the Canadian sales number, because they can look at this, to the US. How many Canadians are listing on the .com platform and selling? So our $20,000 we sold so far is going to be part of that. They're going to add it all up and go, we've sold for our Canadian-based sellers in the past year $17.5 billion or $1 million worth of stuff. But they're also going to be looking at, we've had orders from Germany and the UK from Canada that have been this much money. They're going to look at all of those things to have to analyze, is it worth their while to build a shipping depot, hire people, and figure out how to do this.
And still not lose money doing it as well.
Yeah. Well, Sharon says eBay and Etsy already collect the VAT. It seems it would be an easy addition. The VAT is 1. This is 196. So not as easy. And it also took them 5 plus 8 plus years to get the VAT collected. They weren't doing that until a few years back. So these are not easy things to do. That's the biggest challenge with them, that they're just not easy things to do.
Well, I do have one sort of auxiliary comment to that. You remember 2 or 3 years back when eBay decided to redo all of their product categories, and they collapsed Barbie dolls and bears and other toys all into one category or one. Those categories, if you look at them now, really closely mirror the HTS or the HS categories. So I think they were preparing at that time for what they thought might be coming, having to collect and remit tariffs and taxes. So that's just kind of an aside comment. Sorry for hijacking your conversation, Craig.
No, you didn't. Just again, if anybody who is here, I'm not familiar with a number of names and people that are here, hopefully 1 or 2 things. 1, we'd love it if you gave us a thumbs up and you subscribe to us and hit the bell for whenever we do other shows. We got lots of stuff that's on our Two Dogs Digs YouTube channel right now that has to do with reselling of all sorts of different kinds. We've got tips on how to do auctions on eBay. We've got tips on how to buy stuff, sell stuff, all sorts of things like that. So we'd love it if you subscribe to us here. Hit that bell. Thank you. Hopefully give us a thumbs up for this so that we've got some answers for you where we can. We also, US and Canadian, but we have a Facebook group. It's called Canadian Resellers and Fantastic Thrifters, Craft. It's been around for 7 years now. We have over 4,000 members. About 80% of the members are Canadian. And we talk about all of this stuff in there as well. We give hints and tips. We have fun stuff. It's a very positive group other than this stuff that's happening right now. So please, if you want to, it would be really great for you to join our Facebook group if you're not part of it. Again, it's facebook.com, Canadian. Rick, you can put in the link for the Canadian Resellers if you can into the chat so that it's there. And then just as an aside, just because what the hell, if you did learn something today, you want to be sort of part of our kennel club or you want to thank us, send us a super chat. We'd love it if you send us a super chat. We're doing all this for free. We don't get any money from this. We make like $3 a month off of YouTube ads. So we don't make anything. We just like helping people. We've been doing this for a number of years and stuff. But again, the thumbs up and the subscribe would be really appreciated for us. So well, surgery this week, plenty of time to bulk at it and change some of your thousand. So, yes, that is true. You can do that. Just seeing something else here. The only thing we would pay extra fees on shipping is you can't combine shipping with international shipping programs. Yeah, we don't use the U.S. international shipping, so we don't know how they would end up doing any of that. How do you send a super chat, Holly? Oh, I don't know. That's how it tells me to do that. Hit the $ beside the chat box. Thank you. I didn't even know how to do it. So we've been talking about all this, and basically it's like the end is near, the end is near. First of all, here, I wanted to show you, I finally found a darn thing that actually had required in it. So this happened to be Andre the Giant, or a wrestling poster. And you can see in the item specific, there's a required section and an additional section. So it will soon be theoretically required country of manufacture. So this actually, that country, region of manufacturer will end up showing up underneath required. There, that's what it'll end up saying. But again, so let's go back to something that's a little more positive. It's like, now it's time to pivot. Don't cry, Dan. It's time to pivot. There's ways we can work things. The de minimis is going away. There's tariffs and duties being charged on everything, but it's time to pivot. So how do we pivot? Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much. It's so appreciated. How do we pivot? I got to find the sheet I did. There we go. We're going to learn how to pivot. What can you do to try and help yourself in the case of something like this? And again, we have been doing this for 30 years. I can tell you that I've had discussions with Rick over the past 7 to 10 months. We're retired. This has been our plans for supplementing our retirement income. It's always been my plan. My goal, I said to Rick at one point, if you think our life is going to be moving to Elliott Lake, getting up in the morning, watching reruns of Matlock and Murder, She Wrote, having soup for dinner and going to bed, you got another thing coming. That is not me. I cannot do that.
Or the scene from WALL-E where they're in the
yes, we are not going to turn into WALL-E
floating around
like that, going like that and saying, okay, here we are sitting in our little floaty booths or anything along those lines.
Wearing muumuus and sipping Mai Tais.
That's not going to happen. So since this happened in February, my brain has exploded. Like literally, Rick can tell you. In fact, I actually took a break. I used to have a paid group called the Kennel Club that was specifically about stuff. And we used to do shows, live shows every Tuesday night. That was all about, look what I bought, look what I sold. We stopped doing those because my head can't comprehend all of the crap that we have to go through now. My entire life as a reseller is changing. It's all different. And I got to figure out how I'm going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm trying to figure it out. And so I'm going to try and help you with some of the things that we're thinking about doing. And this is our list sort of things that we are thinking about and looking at. So I want to give it to you to say, this is what you can do. So first off, how do you pivot your sales? I've seen some people who said, I'm giving up, I'm shutting down my store. Some of us can't. I have boxes upon box. I have a profit pile that is not even a pile anymore. I have a profit mountain range. It's not a single mountain. It's a number of mountains, including a number of valleys, including a storage unit. I have tubs upon tubs. To this day, I am finding things I bought 7 years ago and forgot that I bought about. It's like thrifting in my own house. Sometimes it's fun.
I'm going to start charging him the tag prices.
I have thousands of items. I can't just end it. I can't just donate it. Screw you. I'm not donating that shit. I paid money. I'm making money. How I'm going to make money to I just don't know. I don't know, but I'm not going to throw this stuff away. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
Well, to be fair, once this whole tariff thing started, we decided at that point that we needed to think about how we were going to continue to move forward. We didn't anticipate the de minimis being removed completely, but we did see that there were changes coming to Canadian reselling. So we opened a booth at an antique mall. We had some experience in the past with an antique mall, and we're still trying to learn what sells at that mall, and we're working through that, and that gives us the ability at least to have stuff that's inventory in a place where people can walk and actually purchase it. It's about the same cost as our storage unit, where no one can access and buy things from it. So, we're trying to figure out how to balance that. The other thing that we've done, and Craig can go on with this, about how we have started to pivot our business. But I just wanted to point out that we've been thinking about this on our own for the past 7 or 8 months.
Yep.
And we've had a few
sleepless nights,
sleepless
days, internal crying fits,
feelings of being overwhelmed. It's like, screaming. Oh my God, the sky is falling. The sky is falling.
Strangling each other.
Doing the death drop.
Rick did a death drop by mistake. I fell out of my recliner yesterday, but we're starting to work on stuff. And positives, I can tell you, I'll talk a little bit about that, is we're still having sales. Now, I just want to say again, thank you so much. Lisa, thank you for that. Leanne, thank you for that so much for sharing that on us. Pauline, thank you. Tara, thank you so much again. Nancy, thank you so much. Janet, thank you very much for all of your support on this. It's really great. We really appreciate all of that, because we're doing this for you and for us, but we're hoping you learn. And here's our next part. I said to Rick, this will be a half an hour. He said, like hell it will. He goes, you don't shut up. Like, well, okay.
That was my internal did I say that out loud? It was my internal dialogue.
No, you did. You said it out loud to me.
Okay.
So here's the things that we want you to think about. So we're going to pivot our sales. We're going to try a bunch of different things. Number one, and I'll try and actually figure out if I can get these into edits, into some shorter clips that we can do on YouTube, that shorten pieces that we talk about. So now we're going to talk about how do we get out of everything. We're going to pivot our sales. Number one, you're going to change up to Canadian sites. So some people actually have set this up so that when they're doing things, they've been on ebay.com or they were on poshmark.com, like, for example. So what you want to do is, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to start going, I need to get on to Canadian versions of sites. And there are ebay.ca. So you're going to list your items coming from Canada. This hopefully will give you protection. Etsy, you can put it on there. Poshmark.ca. So there are people killing it on Poshmark.ca. And we started moving stuff over to Poshmark. We haven't had success on it yet, but I do know other people who are in our craft group who have had success on this, where they have put items and they've moved them over to Poshmark.ca. There's a platform in the States called Whatnot. There's a Whatnot version in Canada that is now there. And that is something that you can actually end up learning about. Thanks so much, Candace. Thank you. And Kathy, thank you so much as well. And whatnot.ca is relatively new as a Canadian version. So there's Canadian people selling on Whatnot now. And they have some kind of agreement with Chit Chats and with Canada Post for better rates. So you can ship back and forth to Canada. So that's a big help. So there's things that you can look at out there, and we're just about to start. We sold on Whatnot. Thanks, NKS. Thank you so much. We sold on Whatnot in the US for about 2 years. We sold over $20,000 worth of stuff on the US side on Whatnot in 2 years. So I think we're just about to start doing it in Canada. So that's, again, look at a new platform. Look at something there and say, hey, this is something else I can think about doing. Thank you so much, Sharon. Go to local with Facebook. Now, there's some people who are afraid of Facebook. There's some people who are like, I can't do this. There's nothing I can do. There's people like Rick who won't list anything on Facebook. I have to list everything on Facebook. We have people in our craft group and who watch us on YouTube, and Brian and Charmaine Camphorst, who are near Windsor. They actually didn't sell on any other platform other than Facebook up until, I think, less than a year ago. They kill it in a non-major market, a market like Windsor. They kill it with what they do on Facebook locally. And we start selling on Facebook. We're shopping on Facebook too. And there's so many things that we're starting to do on there that are like, wow, never knew about that. This is really great. Thank you, Marguerite. That is like a way for you to actually make other money. Because you got to remember, a lot of us who are resellers are reselling stuff that people don't need. Let's face it. People don't need half the stuff that we sell. Nobody needs a share shoe. Well, I do, but nobody else needs a share shoe. So when you have something like that, there are people who buy. Before the interweb, we used to do a toy show 2, 3, 4 times a year. And we would sell $2,000 to $3,000 worth of toys locally in a show over 6 hours. Again, Rick hated doing those shows. He hated them with a passion beyond belief. But I actually had a conversation with him a couple of days ago, didn't I, Rick?
You did.
And what did I say to you, hon?
Get over it.
Yes.
I'm still not over it.
You're not over it.
No, I have to change. I have to be more open to it, because otherwise we're going to be living in the profit pile. So, yeah, I'll get up early. I won't be happy about it. I'll put on a chipper face and talk to the people that come to our table. Yeah.
But it actually can work. Oh, there's Brian. Yay, we love Facebook. So again, I mentioned Brian and Charmaine as killers on Facebook. So they did a great thing. Actually, and this is my next point actually on here, which is, where do I go? Which is add in-person selling. Now, by in-person selling, I mean shows, flea markets, antique malls, etc. And I just saw one here. Valinda said, we do one collectible show 4 times a year, and we're looking at doing more. This is the smart thing. I think this is where the comment that was made about not like we're all going to be selling within Canada now. What are we supposed to do? It's like, and Trash Panda hates Facebook too. Yep. But Sharon sells lots on Facebook. So take a look. It's something you don't want to do, but you need to think. This is part of the pivot. So what we've done, we've actually gone and got ourselves an antique booth in a mall. There are people who are killing doing antique booths in the mall. We know somebody who used to have an antique booth in a mall near Toronto, and they actually were doing sales that were there. They had 5 booths, I think, Rick, in terms of the total size. They sold toys like Hot Wheels and Beanie Babies and all that sort of stuff. Their 5 booths cost them well over $1,000 a month. They were selling $3,000 to $4,000 a month in that. We have a booth. We're just doing ours right now. And yeah, it cost us $400. But you know what? our $400, we've already made that this month, and it's only halfway through the month. And we sold $1,000 a month ago. So we're getting rid of stuff. And think about something like that, like a booth in an antique mall, as a different way for you to sell. It's like having a storage locker that you're paying for that people can actually shop from. It's a fascinating way to twist your thinking, but it's true. If you have a bunch of stuff sitting in your house that you have not listed anywhere, and you can put it in a mall and pay them, depending on what it is, $100, $80. We've seen some malls that charge so little. It's painful. Ours charge a hell of a lot in Toronto, or the greater Toronto area. But we know of malls that charge $60 as a flat fee to get a case, like a bookcase, and $100 for like a booth that's 3 feet by 5 feet. They're not in Toronto, unfortunately. They're nowhere near us. But there's options out there for you. There's some people in our group. Hydran has a couple of booths, I think, in the States, and they're doing stuff. So again, they're gonna, like, these things will also happen. Those of the U.S. people who sell outside of the world are going to start feeling that pinch as well. But think about that. Think about flea markets. Yeah, go to them before you actually take a table at them. So I've got a show that's coming up this weekend. Or no, 2 weekends from now. I just found it on Facebook. It just showed up in my feed. And I was like, oh, this is vintage toys and stuff like that. I sell vintage toys and stuff like that. How much is a table? $80. That doesn't sound too reasonable. I mean, one day, $80. But they have it 3 times a year. I'm going to this one to see what it's like. I'm going to pay my $5. I'm going to walk in. I'm going to see what it's like. And then if I like it, I might end up doing the next one for $80. If I don't like what it looks like, I'm not going to do it. There's an antique mall that happens once a month in Canada near us at a place called, I think it's Hillcrest Mall, Rick. And it's an antique thing that happens only on holiday day. So Labor Day, on the Monday when the shopping mall is closed, they let people set tables up. So I'm going to go to that and see what that's like. And maybe I can take all my glassware and my vintage and my Pyrex and my stuff like that to someplace like that. So it's not the end of the world. It's just the end of the world as we know it. If I can quote a song, it's the end of the world as we know it. But I feel fine. Well, I don't feel fine. I feel okay. Consider local auctioning. Well, what do I mean by local auctioning? Okay, so I want you to think about that. You might see ads in your local Facebook and things like that. So you're going to look up, if you can, in an area where you might be, maxsold.com as an option for you. You're going to look up highbid.com as an option for you. They are both options for you to be able to sell your items in one sort of bulk thing. There's complications on both of those as to how they work, what they charge. Oh my God! Thank you so much. Thank you all. Thank you so much. That's amazing. They charge little. Some charge a little bit. Some charge a lot. Some charge different ways of doing things. I will tell you right now, little secret. There's a new auction platform coming that is just about to launch that could be an amazing option. And again, that's local. And I will talk more about that as I learn about it, because I literally just learned about it on Friday at 7 p.m. And I'm talking with the owners of it right now to see actually how it works, because it could be a breakthrough for those of us who have items we want to try and figure out how to get rid of. So all of those things are like things you can look at. Change up your Canadian sites. Go to local on Facebook. Add in-person selling. Look at local auctioning. But remember, on all of these things, it could pivot at another time completely. Now, I don't think it could pivot badly. I don't think it could possibly get any worse. The only pivots that could come are pivots that are positive. And actually, you know what? I missed on that. I missed the one big thing, Rick, that I talk about all the time. It's not just change up to the Canadian sites, but it's sell to the rest of the world.
Yes.
I missed that.
You did.
Sell to the rest of the world. If you've only been selling to Canada, and we see this a lot in our craft group, again, feel free. First off, please give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe. We'd love it if you do that for us. We'd really like that. That helps us with keeping me going. You know what? I need to do more of these shows. But join our reseller group, Canadian Resellers. Rick can put the link in the chat again. That it's just something where, again, we talk about this, and we've seen people say, I've only sold in Canada. We get people who join the Facebook group and they say, I've only sold on Facebook. I've never sold anywhere else. I'm afraid to sell outside of Canada. Don't be afraid. This is your chance to take that extra little sort of jump and go, it's time for me to actually see if I can do something. And so what we've done is we literally have said you could sell to the world, but there are 5 what we consider to be the 5 safest places for us to sell to. This is based on 25 plus years of history. The 5 safest places for us to sell to are the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, and China. Those 5 markets we have sold stuff to on a regular basis. In fact, in the past month, I just did a post on I think it was in the Kennel Club or on the Craft Group, that we sold okay, you got to help me on this one, Rick. We sold a $100 Canadian something. What were the 3 things we sold? I did the post on it. We sold a doll, I think, for $100 to us. No, we sold 2 dolls for $100 to France.
Yes.
We sold a piece of fabric
for $30 to Australia.
$45 Canadian to Australia. And something else that we sold to the UK. I don't remember what it was now, for $100 Canadian. So $250 worth of stuff to those 3 markets without even doing anything other than opening our allowance to say, yes, we can ship around the world. It's that easy to ship around the world as well. If you sell on eBay or Etsy, they collect the VAT, which is what you have to pay going into the UK. If you're selling to Australia, it's easy. You're selling airmail. The people that live far away from everybody, like UK, Japan, Australia, they're used to paying $15, $20, $30 shipping. That's just it. It's not a shock to them to have to pay a lot of money for shipping. Why? Because that's what they've had to do to order from the US all the time. So they don't go, oh, we have stuff. The 2 dolls we just sold to France, they paid $30 shipping for the 2 items that we just sent to France. We had 2 ways we could ship them to France. We could ship them with Canada Post, and it was going to cost us $30 US is what they paid. It was going to cost us $32 for tracked international shipping to France on Canada Post, or it was also available through international shipping through our cross-border shipper, which was, I think, only $15.
Closer to 18, but yeah, it was cheaper.
We could have actually refunded them money. So we don't have any issues at all with selling to Japan. Now, on top of that, there were a lot of people who used to order stuff in the States to go to China and to go to Japan that would use what is known as a drop shipper. So they would order lots of stuff. And we've probably shipped, I'd say, at least 10 to 20 things a year to these drop shipping places. And what they were places in Utah and all different places in the States where people from China or Japan would order. They would all come together in this one place, and then a big, huge
shipping container
would go over to China with them instead of paying one by one. Because they would order lots of stuff in the States that was free shipping to them, and they'd get it all sent to this one hub, and then all the stuff came in, and I was label number Craig Dawson, label number 11111, and everything that came in 11111 got put into a big box for 11111, and it went into the shipping container. Well, guess what? They ain't going to be doing that anymore. They're not going to be allowed to, because anything that gets shipped to them is going to have duty paid on it. So they're going to have to shop if they want something from me from Canada. They're not going to have it shipped there. So that's going to be a big change for them as well. There we go. I got a bunch of start questions, so I got to take a look at these. What you need. The only thing we pay extra for on shipping is you can't combine shipping with international shipping programs, apparently. Again, we don't know about that. I know that when we do stuff like our France thing, each item had a separate charge on it. So we didn't have to worry about Let's see. Jigsaw Living, thank you so much. Belinda, how do you find Whatnot Canada? All you see is the American one. Well, it's actually whatnot.com, but as a Canadian, you actually, I'm going to just do a cheat right here. Let me see if I can do this. There's Canadian sellers that are on there. So I will actually try and put a link into, if I go here, not sure if I can see it or not when I'm trying to do this. Okay, I'm just going to pop this over right this second, just as a quick one. So what you can do here, I'll just show you really quickly. This is a Whatnot. Where did that go? This is Whatnot, and if I go into it, I can actually see that this is a CA. There's people who put little Canadian flags by things, so you can see these are US people. There's a Canadian Pokemon company that are people that are up right now. And if you did click on them, just so you know, you can. I'll put a link on this. You can actually go in to see their specific show, and all their shipping is based as they are going to be having to do some issues because right now U.S. people can shop from us, and again, it'll have the de minimis will have to throw a huge like problem into that. So, but again, in the Facebook group, I'll do that. I'll be doing a new once we figure out ours. We might be even doing one tonight, or next week will be our first show. I'll do another one of our things on YouTube about that. Hydrant saying I need to essentially reboot my reselling business. See, the last month was challenging. Just lost a third cat, and that's a challenge too. So it's been rough. So yeah, lots of things change, and the older some of us get, the more we have to check. iCollector's another online auction. Yeah, so look at all of those as other options for you. Trash Panda says South Korea, I would add. Good thought. We haven't added. I don't think we've added them, but we might consider adding them. Sharon North said sold to UK, Australia, Japan, Norway, no problems at all. Lisa said my sister just sent to the Netherlands and had no issues. So look at those. Vintage fabric to South Korea for big money. Nice. What are the selling fees on shipping to those countries? That's what I worry about with eBay. I would lose money on the selling fees. The selling fees are the same. Selling fees are the exact same as they are to any listing that you've got. It's basically still the 12.9%, 15% if you do promoted listings, that sort of thing. So it doesn't cost you anymore. So that's one thing you don't have to worry about. The fee, it's not like the fee to sell within Canada is 13.25%. The fee to sell to India is 16%. All you have to do is think about your shipping. And again, if you look here in our YouTube channel, there's actually a thing we've got, which is how to do flat rate shipping. If you search our channel and flat rate shipping, you'll see that's what we do. We set flat rate shipping up around the world. It's really easy. And we've been doing flat rate shipping around the world and around to the US and Canada for years and years and years. We make money on it sometimes too. Do you need an EOR number to sell to the UK? No, you don't. We don't worry about any of those numbers. What are the other ones Rick says? What are those?
Basically, if you sell on platforms like eBay or Etsy that collect and remit the VAT to those countries, you have to provide in your shipping manifest or when you're creating the label, the tax number that eBay has for that collection or the tax number that Etsy has for that collection. It has to be part of the label. Otherwise, your recipient could be charged for tariffs and duties a second time if you don't include that information.
Les, I just answered that. I didn't see your question, but yeah, we do flat rate. And again, take a look at flat rate shipping and you'll see how we do that. Hydrant said that one of the previous booth locations, a couple of guys from Taiwan came over once a year. At the antique mall that we have a booth at, we've talked to people. We've actually seen a couple of people come over once a month from Japan and China. And they are buying up hundreds of dollars worth of worth of silver and all sorts of stuff, weren't they, Rick? And artwork. That one group of three we saw that one day we were loading, they probably spent $5,000 there.
Yeah, and Dave, the guy that manages or helps manage the antique mall, has told us on several occasions that they have Chinese buyers coming in and loading up on, $100,000 worth of stuff to ship back to China.
Not our stuff.
No, unfortunately not. They don't want a Pokemon card.
They didn't want Pokemon cards.
Or a double warrant teacup.
But yeah, again, the key to here for us is for us to say, like, we really want you to think about the fact that you should be pivoting on your sales and thinking about stuff and doing two things. Think about what you're doing right now and recognizing that the duty free is going away. The de minimis is going away. So effective literally 2 weeks from now, everything going into the States is going to end up having a charge put against it. They could simply charge you $80, $150, $200, and you may or may not have the protections that you hope an eBay or an Etsy give you, which is why you need to make sure that your listings aren't on .com anymore. Now, again, one just quick thing that we talk about, there is another video that we have that is a thing called Crossless Magic. And Crossless Magic is it's a nice way for you to transfer your listings one by one. Unfortunately, it's one by one. They don't have bulk abilities yet, from any platform over to another platform. So you can transfer an ebay.com listing into ebay.ca like that. You can see one of your ebay.com listings, and you can actually copy it into Etsy, Poshmark, Facebook, Instagram. You can take it to all those places with this one thing. There are a few other cross-listing tools is what they're called out there. We happen to like Crossless Magic the best because it works with Canadian sites. Some of the other places like Sidekick don't work with Canadian sites. So that's the nice thing is Crossless Magic does. We wish it did two things. One was we wish it did bulk. We've talked to the developer about that. And we wish it delisted if you sold something, and it doesn't do either of those two things. So unfortunately, Dawn, who's in our chat here, has like 8,000 items listed, and she had to do them one at a time. It takes a long time. But that's kind of the world that we're living in now. It's like you either move them or lose them. Like, what are you going to do with them? So, yeah, Sharon, I love Crossless Magic. Yeah, we pop under Crossless Magic now every couple of nights and just go, oh, let's move this over to Poshmark. Let's try that over there. It doesn't cost us anything other than the listing fees. So again, it's another way for you to look at things. So, hopefully, I didn't expect that we'd be on for 2 hours. I hope we gave you a lot of information. If there's more questions, please, we can stay on as long as you guys want. We've given you a history of what it was like for everybody up until January of this year. It was amazing. We aren't going to care about Kuzma at all. The Studio Web was using it in beta back then and never looked back. We've talked to you about the fact that tariffs and duties are literally a fee that U.S. buyers are going to have to pay, that us resellers are nobodies in the grand scheme of all of these tariffs and duties and all of this. No one cares about us except us. And that's why we do today, because we care about us and we care about what you guys are sitting through. But the de minimis going away, it's been the biggest kick in the head since February. I mean, that was a kick in the head to begin with, and having to find manufacturing companies for everything, that was a kick in the head. The de minimis going away was like kicking me in the face 5 times. That's our dog saying, yes, that's exactly Doug was saying. And so it's time to pivot. We are Canadian resellers. We are strong. We are invincible. We are women and men who resell from Canada. Those of you who may know us from our other YouTube channels, yeah, sometimes we sing. Badly.
I do not sing.
Badly. It's bad puns. But, I mean, I could have done this as a very, very angry man. Angry bald man. Rick was afraid I would be an angry bald man. I don't know whether I've just lost my mind or I'm just resigned to this is the new world order. And as this is the new world order, until Tiny Hands Taco Tits decides to do something else, which could change it. Again, there's nothing worse that could happen to us as Canadian resellers. Canada Post is always going to be there. Cross-border shippers may not be there, but Canada Post is always going to be there for us, and we're going to be able to ship stuff. Before the internet was around, we used to sell stuff. And whether you did or not, before Facebook was around, some of you youngins out there in your 20s and 30s and 40s, yes, youngins, you might not think about it, but there's people who are crazy about share. And so when I do a doll show, I can sell this share shoe. I know, it's just happened to be on my desk. So it's the one thing I picked up in front of me. I don't know what else.
Oh, no, you're obsessed.
You know that I could sell at McDonald's. There's Shania Twain keychains right now that I could sell, but they're made in China. And I can't really do much with them now. But I used to resell when I did arbitrage, buying stuff retail and selling. There's lots of stuff like that. Thanks, crap. Yeah, if they don't strike up, they don't strike, then they don't strike. If they strike, then it's all about local shows, Facebook Marketplace, all that sort of stuff. Thank you so much, Taco. Thank you for the taco tip. Again, we'd love it if you do actually gave us a thumbs up and subscribed. We're going to try and get our act back together now that we're in a little bit better mood. The July 31st thing threw us for one heck of a loop. And as I'm sure it threw everybody for a loop. But we're trying to, Rick knows that I'm really trying to my best to sort of take that positive attitude and how can we get around this and what can we do?
Yeah,
I love our US
is over.
I love our US Facebook group and YouTube group members. Thank you so much for supporting us as well. I know that a lot of you are just as frustrated about what we have to go through. And you're just as frustrated because you're sitting there going, how the hell am I all of a sudden responsible for paying this when I get something for my grandchild? My mother wants to send something to my kid, and now I have to pay $200 to get that. Doesn't make any sense for a sweater. So maybe some things will change. I'm hoping and praying and wishing that someday the de minimis will come back to at least $100. I think that's from a Julia Roberts movie. I don't know. I know that the moment I wake up, that's from. Now I'm just gone. Rick is look at the look that I am getting from.
I've got to go get the big.
He's looking at. He's going to get the hook. The hook is coming. But so thank you, Traffic. This will be yes. This will actually be this entire 2 hours. God help us. We'll be sitting on YouTube forever. And again, we're going to try and see if we can cut some of these things into some smaller, more digestible parts, if we can. What? Oh, yes, that's it for my best friend's wedding. That's where I don't know why. So the only problem, Poshmark makes you have your ad up for 60 days unless it's yeah, that's a Poshmark change. So you got to watch that with Poshmark on how you list there. So because if you pull it down, they can screw your account around. But again, we don't have much on Poshmark. So if they pull this down, oh well. But again, it's another platform you look at.
Change your price on the items that sell on other platforms to $1,000. People won't buy it.
Yeah, that's raise your price up on Poshmark to some amount they won't pay for, and it'll stay there for the 60 days, even if you've sold it on some other way. You need. That's the right attitude. We just got to find a way through the troubles we see and do our best to get better at reselling and maybe a little craftier. Thanks for the laugh and the help. Well, that's why we're here. We've been doing this for years. We've always wanted to help people and try and figure out how they can do something somehow and keep a positive spin on it. Because that's one of the things. It's kind of like it's not a quote, but it's the Taylor Swift thing. So Taylor Swift, don't worry. I'm trying to build a Life of a Reseller, Life of a Thrifter album cover right now. I'm actually trying to set one up, but I can't find orange glitter and a nice showgirl outfit for me to wear. But as a Life of the Thrifter. But the one thing that Taylor Swift said was you feed into the internet and the bad stuff you feed in gets like multiplied 20 times. That's one of the big things that we see on the internet is with resellers, people are afraid of scammers. They're afraid of people ripping them off. Everything is going to be bad. Well, you know what? There are millions and millions and millions of amazing sales that go through and nobody ever talks about them. 90% of the Yelp reviews of a hotel are complaints about an elevator that was too far away to walk to, or a breakfast that ended at 9 and I got up at 11. So I just don't have, it doesn't fit me, but I do think we still have that shape in bikini. So you know what? We may very well have that. But scammers are going to be out there, but they're 1% or less than 1%. Facebook problems with pickup, they're going to be 1%. Yeah, you're going to have a ton of no-shows. But the whole thing is there's thousands and thousands of amazing sales that go on every day. And nobody talks about them. Get your Snap Cup out, little legally blonde friends. Time for me to put a Snap Cup post up on our craft group, because there's so much good stuff from the Snap Cup that you should be talking about those things. Don't worry about one person trying to if you think somebody's going to scam you, if you think somebody's going to rip you off, then don't be a reseller. Or if you really think there's something scary, don't do that sale. But we look at stuff all the time and we see people who say, and not just in our group, but in many other groups, oh, these people have zero feedback, so I'm not going to sell to them. Guess what, honey? You started with zero feedback. Somebody starts with zero feedback. We sell to zero feedback people all the time. This person asked too many questions. Okay, maybe they got a thing broken the last time or that it didn't work. I just bought something. I don't know. That's our.
Sorry, somebody asked to see
this is Doug.
Doug.
Right now. I don't know. Oh, somebody asked what Doug looked like?
Yeah, that is Doug.
That's Doug. I bought something on Facebook Marketplace. Stupidly, I didn't test it. I got it home. It didn't work. Am I going to stop buying on Facebook Marketplace? No. I just bought a new thing of the same one. It was a cooler for my car. And I said to the guy, I'm going to come get this cooler, but I need to test it. And he was, really? I said, yes. So I got to their place. I plugged it in. I tested it to see if it worked. It works. I bought it. I could have sat there and said, I'm never buying off Facebook again. But I didn't. I just went, wait. There's ways to do things. There's ways not. If you don't want people to come to your house for Facebook, set up something at the local Tim Hortons. There's enough of them around Canada. Or go to a police station. Actually, police stations have abilities to do drop-offs. If you're afraid to do that, go to the police station first. Ask, is it all right if I do a drop-off here because I'm afraid to meet somebody in a park? And they'll probably say, sure. But don't decide, no, I'm never going to do Facebook because somebody has to pick something up and I don't want them coming to my house. Figure out a way around it. That's the best way to do it. Make stuff. If you have an arts and craftsy side, list stuff on Etsy you make. Let people know who want to support Etsy that are handmade. Yeah, there's lots of people.
I know people.
Okay. I don't know Carrot. Carrot might be growing. There's also Garage Sale. There's 2 or 3 other places that do stuff like that too. So there's lots of things that you can look at. Lots of options for you out there. Just start investigating with. Don't forget, even in Facebook, look for Facebook groups. There are Facebook groups specifically for Canada. There's a vintage Toronto fashion group. There is a vintage Canadian Care Bear collector group. Like there's so much.
Many of them allow you to buy and sell.
And they allow you to buy and sell.
Some of them don't.
Some of them don't, but some of them do. But again, don't just go into Facebook and decide I'm going to look for a group that is in my neighborhood. And maybe ship stuff. Like the Canadian Vintage Toy Group sells to people across Canada. There's this horse is called a Grand Champion horse. I have 50 of them. I got them at a garage sale. Grand Champion horses don't sell in the US. They're huge in New Zealand, Australia, and some reason like Norway. So they sold in those markets. So I can sell these. And the people in Australia don't care about paying $20 to get this horsey. So again, lots of options. Lots of options out there. Maybe investigate print on demand. Try and do something new with what you're doing as a reseller. Try something different like that. Yeah, now they said Facebook's great. There's lots of groups. McDonald's collectors, vintage toys, just Pez. find those versions of what Nellie's talking about and see if you can find one that says Canada beside it. Because you can't sell into the States again with the de minimis gone away. You're still going to have that problem. The Pez people in the US can't order a Pez from Canada. There is always a way. We just got to keep an open mind, and sometimes it's trying things differently. I think your positive attitude is really helpful for us now. I hope it is, because I got to have that positive attitude, and I hope that you guys try and take away from this. I hit the 2-hour mark for my half-hour show. I think I pretty well got I've gone, and I think this has gone to mush. I think my dog is saying I want food, which is actually true because it's 6 p.m. and at 6 o'clock he needs to be fed.
Oh, I just noticed the time. Yes.
And I think I better move my Whatnot show, my first Whatnot show from tonight, where Two Dogs Digs Canadian on Whatnot, to next Sunday because I don't have anything ready. Yes, Doug, I know. I'll feed you in a minute, or Rick will. So again, you can leave, Rick. But thank you so much, everybody, for being here as part of our...
Thanks for all the super chats. Oh my goodness.
What? What did you say, Rick?
I said, thanks for all the super chats. I'm really...
Oh, and thank you very
really
much. Thank you so much for all the super chats. It's so much appreciated. The support that you're giving us in here.
We can buy Doug a bag of dog food.
Yeah.
I'm going to go feed him. Bye, folks.
As you see, it isn't necessarily the end of Canadian reselling, but it's the end of Canadian reselling as you know it. So it's time to pivot. Pivot! Wait, I have it here. I don't know if it'll work for me.
Okay, here we go. Pivot.
So just like David Schwimmer said on my favorite episode of Friends, shut up, shut up, shut up. Okay, I will. Hopefully you'll pivot. I'll shut up. And again, tune in to us here at YouTube. Subscribe to us. Give us a thumbs up. We promise we're going to be back with more shows. We'll have some fun. We'll do a show in the next week or so that's all about some stuff that we sold recently, even though before the tariffs actually disappear and the de minimis disappears for us. Thanks, everyone. Have a fabulous Sunday night. We hope that you'll think about some of these things. And again, ask us questions in here if you feel like it. Just send us a message in our YouTube channel. We answer all of those as they come through. Join us in the craft group and then ask us questions there. We'll answer as much as we possibly can. Don't get too complicated. Don't get too worried. And at the end of the day, it's all just reselling a bunch of shit to people that they didn't need in the first place and you didn't need to buy. Bye-bye. Not a nice way to end it all. Yeah, I guess not really, but what the heck. Bye, everyone. It's actually whatnot.com. It's just Canadian Sellers on the whatnot.com site, Arnaud. Thanks, Jigsaw Living. So we'll put a link again in our actual Canadian Resellers and Fantastic Thrifts group. So there it is. Once again, Canadian Resellers. You can go into there and we will have a link in there on how it actually works in case anybody wants to know. Now I'm going. Now I got to go. Bye-bye.